Pending. Just give me a second now. Yeah. All good to go. So, right. Well, thanks for meeting with me this morning, Rory. Just like a few quick questions on your thoughts on the National Park City in Galway.
Great.
And so we'll get started. So first of all, why did you get involved in the project? So basically, what encouraged you to get involved?
Yeah, so I got involved in the project because I love Galway. I think it's I really do honestly believe it's the best place in the world to live. But it's got big problems, and the problems are getting worse. The problems are that it's becoming an increasingly unlivable city in terms of, we all know the traffic problems. That's just the tip of it. But there's problems with the way the city is developing in a sprawling way. Transport's a big problem. Connectivity of communities. People have services near where they live. So I guess I think that this project is a great way to refocus people's attention on what has made Galway great. And what's made Galway great is the people and the community and our location. And I think that this project's just a fantastic way to help us put that at the center of plans for the city.
Yeah, perfect. Totally agree. Yeah. Secondly, what do you feel are the benefits of an outdoor park such as this for the people of Galway? And being a Galway man yourself, do you think more of these are needed?
Oh, look, I think in terms of benefits, look, it's improvements of quality of life. Is the number one thing. Like I live in Moycullen. I try to cycle with my kids every morning to the local school here, and when we do that, we all feel great. It's a great way to start the day. The kids feel delighted with themselves. It's very sociable. They get to see the other kids cycling.
Yeah.
That's just a small example of, I think, what making a more livable community is like. And doing that in the scale of a place like Galway would have immeasurable benefits for people's physical and mental health, for the environment, for the economy. Having people sitting in cars in the Quincentennial Bridge and Bór na Drámh is a complete waste of time and money. And bad for the environment, bad for people's physical and mental health. So let's make a place that doesn't need people to do that. Yeah. Should there be more of them? Absolutely, absolutely. I live outside the bounds of Galway City, but I would see if Galway City did this, it would be a kind of an exemplar to all the surrounding satellite towns. When we think then about greenways connecting Galway with Connemara and Galway with, Athlone and on to Dublin and up and down the coast, I think that there's great opportunities to kind of spread the learnings from Galway out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was curious to see, I noticed you're the energy systems engineer involved in the project. So what is actually your specific role?
Yeah, I guess my role, I was asked to join the project as what's called a renewable energy champion. So the idea is that I would bring a perspective of someone who knows about renewable energy, who's interested in it, and we would try and stimulate some kind of renewable energy aspect of the national park. Like, I guess most people's traditional view of, certainly in Ireland, of renewable energy is big wind turbines. So no one's proposing to build monstrous wind turbines in the middle of Galway City. But there are ways that we can plug renewable energy into Galway. Solar panels. We live in one of the wettest, cloudiest places in the world, but with the decrease in the price of solar energy, it's starting to make sense here. Could we, we can use solar, we can use things like batteries to store energy. We should have electric charge points for cars. Our electricity is getting greener and greener literally every day. So like right now, 40% of our electricity is green. In 10 years' time, it'll be 70%. So electric cars have a huge role to play. What about other things? Can we, I've cycled behind diesel buses when I used to work on campus, when I'd be cycling into town, getting stuck behind a diesel bus was one of the worst things. And can we switch those buses to something else? Maybe electric's not the right option there. Maybe something like hydrogen, which which can propel buses for longer distances. Could we make hydrogen here in Galway at the huge wind farms that we have scattered all around us and use it to run buses, to run city public vehicles, to run taxis? So there's so many things we could do in Galway, and what my job as the renewable energy champion is to try and imagine some cool projects that could be done. Lots of this stuff could happen, and the idea is, can we gather around an idea that might happen and that hopefully will happen?
Yeah, it's brilliant. And what impact do you think a park like this will have on the students of Galway, or maybe the possible future students in Galway?
Look, I think it's a good way to ask the question. I think there's the current students of Galway. I think it would just really improve the livability of the city. I think, like, when I talk to my undergraduate students that I teach and to the postgraduate students who research with me, they're mostly cooped up at home, and a lot of the students, they're in big sprawling housing estates, because that's where that's where the availability of accommodation is. A lot of these housing estates, they're increasingly just being built to accommodate car use. So even little things like cutting shortcuts between estates to let people use their bicycles, lowering speed limits, connecting up bike paths, bike lanes, bus lanes, just having a much more joined up approach to things, I think will make life for students in Galway much, much better. Improve, again, physical health, mental health, improve the environment if people are actively commuting. I'm focusing on the commuting side because I guess that's sort of my kind of research background here, is on the energy and the technology side. In terms of people coming to Galway, I think it'll make Galway a much more desirable place to come to. If people see that it's got this wonderful, Galway's already, as I said, I think the best place to live, in terms of the culture, the fun, the setting that's here. If we can improve the quality of life and get people enjoying themselves outside of cars, outside of traffic jams, then I think it will only be good for Galway. It'll be good for the university. We get more students coming here. It'll be good for employers, good for the whole lot, good for students. So yeah.
And finally, I just noticed you mentioned the way Galway is developing as a city. I'm just wondering your opinion on the impact that this will have, maybe on the developing side of the city, like how will it impact the development overall?
How this national park might impact on the development. I guess that's maybe not something that I would know a huge amount about. But what I would say is the way the city is currently developing is, for me, is a real waste, is a real shame. This fixation on building this bypass, which will probably temporarily have an impact on reducing traffic. But it's going to become saturated, and it won't become saturated with people making their way from A to B. There'll be a whole string of development done along the length of that bypass that will draw more traffic to the bypass. So all we're going to do is build another giant car park around the existing giant car park that is Galway City. So we're thinking of this all the wrong way. We need to be thinking of making better use of the space we have available now, not making another car park to attract more strip development, more low density development. There just needs to be a better thought out plan to this.
Okay, that's perfect. So that's all from me, Rory.
Great.
Thanks again for coming and talking to me this morning.
Brilliant. Good stuff, Mark. Good luck with it. And I'd be delighted to know how you get on with it.